that one out of the system real quick. And now let's jump over to the next matchup, which is the New York Giants at the Detroit Lions. And boys, let me tell you, this one ain't pretty right here. I think this one could get ugly. And we're going to do the same process, walking through all the information, okay? So, boy, the Detroit Lions hosting the New York Giants, obviously going to be played indoors, so the forecast doesn't matter. Lions are 12-point favorites right now, okay? Actually, no, I'm sorry, 12.5-point favorites. PFF has it a little closer at 12 points. And, of course, 83% of the money is on the Lions to cover the spread. I got to be honest with you, man. I feel okay about going Giants plus 12.5 there. I could be wrong, but that's something to keep an eye on there. That's a lot of points, right? Now, it is on the road. You're going to cover that. Probably going to happen at home, right? So, yeah. That's interesting. 12 points. It seems like a lot of points. But anyway, 83% of the money is on the Lions to cover. When you see that 83%, I feel even better about the 12.5 points, to be honest with you. When you got 83% of the public saying, yeah, Lions are covered by 12.5, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I would be hammering that 12.5. Not giving anybody gambling advice. That's not what we do here. That's my personal opinion. Okay. And never gamble, never bet one dime that you can't afford to lose. Okay, that's my advice tonight. That's the only gambling advice I give on here. Money line looks like the juice is 880 to diesel, Pete. And the money, 94% of the money are on the Lions. I would stay away from that one personally, just because the juice is so heavy. But yeah, I would. I think the Lions are going to win this game. I just don't know if they're going to win by 12 points, or in this case, 13 points, let's call it, right? So let's look at the matchups here. The Lions are 6th overall, according to PFF, in overall ranking. They're 6th in defense as well. They're 7th in offense, okay? And their strength of schedule played is 3rd. So they get the 3rd toughest schedule so far. When you look at the Giants, 28th overall. Defensively, they're ranked 30th, according to PFF. Offensively, 21st, and then strength of schedule, they have played the 2nd toughest schedule this year, though. So that's why they're sitting at 2-9, right? And it's funny too. You see the 2nd and 3rd toughest schedule here played strength of schedule here for these two teams, and both of these teams have played the Packers. Says a lot about the Packers, right? Just saying. That's not a coincidence there. Now let's look at some of the other rankings. I'm not going to have it on the screen, but I'm going to go to my PTA Power Rankings. You guys can find this in our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. So let's see where the Lions are ranking. I have them as the 3rd overall best team in the league with a 7.3 grade, or score, I should say. Okay. Offensive points per play, they're 3rd in the league. Defensive points per play allowed, they are 11th. So they essentially have a top 3 offense and pretty much a top 10 defense in terms of scoring. Offensive yards per play, they're 4th best in the league. Yards per play allowed on defense, they're 6th best in the league. So you have a legit top 5 offense, and you have a top 10 defense there. And their turnover differential, they're 8th best in the league. So they're doing everything good across the board. The only thing that's in the yellow on our chart here is the Lions' winning percentage. They're 12th best in winning percentage. Now, when you got everything else lining up in the green like that, for the most part, and you're not winning ball games, to me, the indicator, it's like this bright flashing bulb going, bad coaching in the sense that you're not making good game day decisions. Rewind to the Philly game, Detroit-Philly. What cost them that game? Dan Campbell going forward on 4th down. So again, I love it when the analytics, the numbers, the graphs, the things that we put together line up with what we see on the field, right? And what many of the opinions are going on around the league, like, what the hell is he doing? Like, give your team a chance. Play the field position, right? Pick up the invisible yards. Take the 3 points and put yourself in a position to win at the end. So I do feel like, and I could be wrong, I kind of feel like Chicago and Ben Johnson with the Bears, they're not being as aggressive going for it on 4th down. And you guys may know those numbers if you do fire them in the chat for everybody. But it kind of feels like they're not as aggressive going for it on 4th down as Ben Johnson with the Lions. So that's proven it's probably more of a Dan Campbell thing, right? So, again, this one, there's not a whole lot to talk about, really. Jared Goff, his play has dipped a little bit this year in terms of PFF grade. He's down to a 69.2. Jameis Winston is a 54.8. So there's your quarterback matchup. So let's go through the matchups that I like to go through real quick, okay? Quarterback match, or actually head coaching matchup. Who's got the better coach? The interim Kafka for the Giants or Dan Campbell? It's not even close. It's Dan Campbell, right? So there's one. Let's go to quarterback matchup. Jared Goff or Jameis Winston? I'm going Jared Goff all day long and twice on Sunday, right? So advantage Lions. Let's go offensive tackle play real quick. Or let's just go to pass rush here, okay? So let's look at the Giants pass rush in their nickel defense. You got Burns and you got Dexter Lawrence. 77-4 for Burns, 73-6 for Lawrence. Opposite side Carter. That's Abdul Carter, the rookie, 67.7. Remember what we said? If a rookie grades out in the 60s, pretty good indicator they're going to be a good football player. I think Abdul Carter is going to be a damn good football player based off what I've seen so far. And no surprise, where was he drafted at? Was it top 3? Yeah, 3rd overall selection for Abdul Carter. He's a man bear. So pretty good pass rush there in terms of grades, right? Now let's switch it over to the Lions. You got Aidan Hutchinson with a 91.0. You got Aleem McNeil there playing defensive end in their base with a 47.4. Not good. Let's go to the nickel. So you got Hutchinson and you got Muhammad there to 74.1. I would give the edge there to the Lions. Head coach, quarterback, pass rush, Lions, right? Now let's look at the offensive tackles. So for the Giants, they have the 5th best left tackle with an 86.0. And then their opposite tackle, Illuminor, I think is how you say it. Illuminor, 62.7 there. So stud at left tackle. Now let's switch over and check the Lions. You got Decker at left tackle, 65.2, and Penei Sewell, the best right tackle in the league there. So really what it comes down to is the 2nd best tackle on each team. Decker at a 65.2, right? And then on the opposite side, you got Illuminor at a 62.7. So the edge there goes to the Lions. So all 4 facets of the game that I feel like are most important when you're picking games, it goes to the Lions. So for me, I'm going to put a 10 on the Lions here. I'm going to say the Lions win by 10 points. Now notice, you're going, Clayton, you said you think 12.5. I would. 10 points is not 12.5, right? It's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. I could be wrong tomorrow, but I love those games. The way I like to play this usually, guys, just so everybody knows, I typically won't take the points right off the bat. What I like to do is wait till the game kicks off, right, and get on wherever you're at, FanDuel, ESPN Bet, whatever, and look for the Lions to take an early lead. And what will happen is they'll jump up to an early lead, and that 12.5 line will go to like a 16-point line. And now you go, okay, now I can get the Giants plus 16, or I can get them plus 14, or plus. You see what I'm saying? Let the Giants jump to an early lead, and then the live betting starts to kick off, and that sways a little bit more. Hammer that, bang. And of course, you guys know I'm a middle 8 junkie. I love watching the middle 8, the turnover differential, how those line up. As soon as the middle 8 wraps up, you can really do some damage live betting and go that route as well. Again, no gambling advice here. I'm just telling you guys how I do it. And just assume that I am extremely horrible at gambling. That's the advice. Okay. So, again, does anybody disagree with that? Do y'all think the Giants can pull off an upset? Let me know in the chat as soon as possible. Fire it in there really, really quick. What's up, Michael? See you swinging through, buddy. Appreciate you, man. How do y'all feel about the Lions and the Giants here? What do you think? How do you think the Lions and the Giants is going to turn out here? Do you think the Lions run away with it? Do you think this could be an upset? Do you think Jameis Winston, after doing that Harlem Shake, got a little more magic in the tank? What do you think? Because I don't know, man. I think the Lions are going to run away with this one personally, man. That's just me. I know we're on a little bit of a delay here, so I will try to keep an eye on the chat and see what everybody says there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else we need to pay attention here. The line moved quite a bit, didn't it? Yeah, the line did move a little bit there early on, it looks like, right? So it started off 10.5, and as the week went on, 12.5, 13, came back to 12, back to 12.5, and settled in at 12.5. So it did jump. It started at 10.5. So it just shows you the money was really, really on the other side there for sure. Let's see what everybody's saying here in the chat as everybody's firing away here. C. Cole, good to see you, buddy. He says, I think the Giants could get it done. Goff is terrible under pressure. That's a fair point, right? What is his passer rating under pressure this year? Yeah. You know what's crazy, though, C. Cole? Not to bash on my Packers. I don't know if you're a Packers fan or not. I'm assuming maybe you are. Probably most people in here are. I think that's a better under pressure rating than Jordan Love has, which is wild to think about because Love has been so lights out in a clean pocket. But yeah, Jared Goff under pressure, 56.2. That's a great point. Maybe they can get after him, rattle his cage a little bit, right? Maybe that can happen. He says Goff is terrible under pressure, especially up the middle with Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, exactly. Pushing the pocket right back in his lap. That's a great observation. Great point there, man. Get him off his spot. He's not the same quarterback. Chase Green says the Giants can create pressure versus the Lions O-line. Giants run game is better than people expect. That's a fair point. I like the optimism, guys. How cool would it be if, as a Packer fan, if we're, watching the Packers and the Vikings, and let's, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, the Packers take care of business tomorrow. Let's say we look up and we got a 7-point lead going in the fourth quarter, and we look over and the Giants are holding a 3-point lead on the Lions. How cool would that be, right? Anything's possible. And that's what Bates says here. Anything is possible, but I think the Lions win easily. I do agree on the points, though. 12.5 is always a lot for any game. Doesn't matter, right? It could be Podunk University out there. Some of these college games are wild, man. If y'all get into live betting on college, you'll look up and you'll be catching plus 32.5. I'm like, where's my wallet? You know what I mean? And it's burned me a couple times, but we come out on top more often than not, to be honest with you. So let's see what else we got in here real quick. Ron Samble, Jen Wright says, I'm like, you're never late, Jen. You're good. Appreciate you swinging through on short notice. Ron Sample says, Lions should win easily. All right. I think I agree with that. Jen Wright says, anyone can win any game. That's any given Sunday. You got it right. Dark Arts Poker says, the Giants have what is technically called no chance. There you go. J. Cole says, Jameis got his ass whooped after that Harlem Shake. He really did. But Jay, didn't you love the Harlem Shake? I loved it, man. Listen, you guys hear my voice. I'm from the mountains of Caucasus, and everybody was making fun of him. He didn't have no rhythm. I thought he looked good. I thought Jameis looked good out there doing the Harlem Shake. C. Cole says, I'm a Bears fan. Hey, welcome, man. Appreciate you swinging through. Thanks for hanging out, man. Your Bears are hot. Listen, we've all, myself included, talked about they played an easy schedule. You can only play the opponents you play, and they've got a chance to shut everybody up right now. That's for sure. So we'll see how that goes against the Steelers tomorrow. They got a chance to get a monkey off their back by defeating Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field, right? So that could kind of turn the page in a new era for the Chicago Bears, if you will. So Chase Green says, Clayton, do you like the I formation run look with tight ends as a fullback? I do, Chase, because the reason I'm not, I think most coaches would agree, it's why there's hardly any fullbacks left in the league. They're few and far between. It's so predictable when you got a fullback, right? With a tight end, you can show 12 looks. You can flex the Y out. You can flex the U out, and you can try to create mismatches. Then all of a sudden you put on tape for 2 or 3 days that you got a 12 wide look, right? A 12 personnel with the U and the Y flexed out, say to the 1 and the 3 on one side. So you're really showing like a tray left spread look. And then all of a sudden you come into that game and they prepared for that. Well, guess what happens? Just to walk people through the process on the sidelines, when you've got coaches that are in control or in charge of personnel, right? So when they're watching and they see the other team, okay, they're going 12. Well, we prepared all week that when they're in their 12, they like to spread it out with a little tray left look out of 12. Okay, let's send in our personnel. Bang, you send them out there thinking they're going to show a little tray left look. They come out in the tray left and they shift with one of them into the backfield. Now you've got to decide, do we go from 1 gap to 2 gap approach in the run fit? And what are they going to do running the football? Now we're at a disadvantage because we prep for the other. Now look for this from LaFleur, not necessarily this week, but maybe a little later in the year. We've been showing those looks and then shifting the U into the backfield, essentially taking the U and turning them into an H-back pre-snap. Teams are going to start keying in on that. Now watch us break the huddle. Maybe not this week, but soon, with a I formation set or an offset I with an H, a tight end, a U playing the H, and then flexing the H out to the U and doing the same thing. It's what Matt LaFleur does so well, man. So me personally, I like to use tight ends that way because you can keep it very versatile and keep the defense from being able to key in on their scouting of your offense. And I learned this from Mike McCarthy's tenure in Green Bay, studying him. And he was one of these guys that was quality control and stuff coming up in the coaching ranks. He was very, very, very calculated, I guess you could say. One of my favorite coaches of all time is Coach Mike. And he was really, really good at what we call self-scouting, making sure that you've got a portion of your coaches, you got a small team of your coaches that's scouting your tape and coming back to your coaching staff each week and go, hey, if I were scouting you as an opponent, this, and this is predictable, right? And that's how they approach that. So C. Cole says the thing about the Bears season this year, it was never about contending, just seeing if Caleb has it. Everything else just has just been good to see. It's a really good way of looking at the season, C. Cole. And I've seen a lot of people say that too on X and YouTube, the fans that don't just come in and talk trash, right? I got a lot of Bears fans. People don't know that. A lot of Bears fans, friends, I should say. People don't know that, but they're good football guys, and I love talking Bears ball behind the scenes with them. You'll see me go off on Bears fans on social media because most of the time they just come in and talk trash, which that's what people do on social media, right? So I got to smack them down as if they're the worst franchise in NFL history because they come in and talk trash to me. But that's a great attitude to have. And what you're saying is spot on, Seco, spot on. I want to ask you, man, one last question to you, and I'm going to try to look for it in the chat. Do you think Caleb is the guy based off what you've seen? I personally don't to this point. His scrambling ability is elite. God, like that dude is as good as anybody scrambling with the football. But how do you feel about Caleb as, hey, he's the franchise quarterback moving forward? Because if you say, yeah, Caleb is that guy, just like we had to say, is Love that guy, then you've got to accept the fact that you're not going to continue to look for a franchise quarterback. Therefore, you may be missing out on the next Pat Mahomes, right? The next Jalen Hurts, the next, whoever you think might be better than those quarterbacks that we may deem above average or good, right? You're kind of settling for good when you could potentially have great. Do you think that he's the quarterback of the future for you? I'd really like to know what you think there, because you seem like a really, really level-headed Bears fan for sure, man. But me personally, I've seen enough love with the EPA and the advanced metrics and just the arm talent. I think we've got the guy. I'm curious to know if you think he's got it. Like Andy Watkins says here, this is one of the things that I've noticed on the tape with Caleb Williams is he holds on to it too long and takes too many sacks. And to Andy's point, but also to kind of push back a little bit, Andy, he also evades a lot of sacks, right? So imagine if he had the mobility of Jared Goff. If you took his ability to run the football away, where would you rank him as a quarterback? That's how I like to truly look at quarterbacks. The legs are an extra thing. That's an extra plus. That's icing on the cake, right? But if he can't be an effective quarterback sitting in the pocket, or you haven't seen enough, like maybe C. Cole's thinking here, to think he can be that dude moving forward, and he's only going to get better if you truly believe that, then that's a different way of approaching it, right? But like Jordan Love, he's not an elite scrambler, but he does create secondary windows with his scrambling ability to be able to throw those off-balance throws and just absolutely, throw dime pieces. He shut some critics up last week. And again, it was against a bad Giants team. We're going to see what he can do against a decent Vikings defense this week. But yeah, we'll see if I'll try to look for your comment there on Caleb Seco. I'm interested to see what you think there, man. So there you go, guys. There is the lines. We got a little bit extra Bears talking there, but that's what this is for. I just wanted to be laid back. Let's talk NFC North. So that's the Giants at the Bears. I've got the Giants as 10-point favorites is the line I would put on this. And again, to go back, I've got the Steelers as 4-point favorites over the Bears as it sits right now. So let's see what C. Cole says about his boy Caleb Williams. He said Caleb is 5th in the league in pressure to sack, right? You have no idea what you're talking about, Andy. So here's last year, Cole. He held the ball extremely long, right? Last year, he was leading the league, last I checked, in sacks where he held the ball 4 seconds or longer. And people were raking him over the coals in the national media. He's playing much better this year. That's where I agree with you there. I think he has taken a step forward. Like I said, I just haven't seen enough, and it's probably still too early. Get him maybe 2 years under Ben Johnson, and then you probably know what you got there, right? So, but all right, Chase Green in the chat says, I want to see how our run defense can defend those outside runs with Jones and Mason tomorrow. Amen to that. We'll jump into a little Packers talk here. And then we'll do the playoff simulator and we'll get out. Man, there's a bunch of people in there. Holy cow. 70. Look at this. 260 people watching. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, man. If y'all would take a quick second, hit that like button. And if you like this type of content, hit subscribe. This is just impromptu. Let's go live, talk a little North. Pretty cool to have this many people in here. So, yeah, if you guys are watching this back later, let us know what you think about the Giants and the Lions. Are we giving too much credit to the Lions? Do you think the Giants have a chance at winning this ball game and we're just way off base here? Or do you think, no, the Lions are going to run away with it? We want to hear from you in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. All right, now listen.